Hey everyone, it's Mike here, and welcome back to Golden Goals. I've got a question for you. What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about retirement is actually wrong? That the 4% rule, the golden rule of retirement planning that's been drilled into our heads for decades, might actually be selling you short. And you could retire years earlier than you thought with way less money saved? Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, my buddy Jake, he's 35, works in tech, big on planning, called me up in a panic. He was stressing over how he'd never have enough saved to retire. He'd been doing the math and the numbers just weren't adding up. Mike, he said, I'm doing everything right. Investing in my 401k, maxing out my Roth IRA, following that 4% rule like gospel, and still, it feels like I'll be working forever. I'll be honest, I didn't have the heart to tell him the truth right then. But what I knew and what I'm going to share with you today completely changes the game. The man who created the 4% rule, yeah, he's now saying it's outdated. His latest research shows that a 5% withdrawal rate might be not only possible, but safe, even in the worst case scenarios. Imagine that. With this new approach, you could retire with 20% less savings than you thought you'd need. That's like unlocking a secret level in the game of life. But here's the kicker. Most people have no idea this shift has happened. They're still grinding, saving like crazy, and living in fear they'll never be able to stop working. So if you're someone in your 30s, 40s, or even 50s, wondering when will I ever have enough to retire, this video is for you. Because by the end of this, you'll understand why the old rules no longer apply, how flexibility is your secret weapon, and why you might be able to retire sooner than you ever thought possible. Stick around because I'm about to break down the new safe withdrawal rule, why it matters, and how you can start applying it today to hit your golden goals in life. Let's jump in. The backstory, the 4% rule and its origins. All right, let's rewind for a second. Ever wondered who came up with the 4% rule in the first place? It wasn't some corporate think tank or Wall Street firm. Nope. It was a guy named William Bengen, a literal rocket scientist who pivoted into the world of financial planning. Back in 1994, Bengen was helping clients figure out how much they could safely withdraw from their retirement accounts without running out of money. He dug into the data, decades of stock market returns, inflation rates, and all the economic chaos that history had thrown at us. And what he found was revolutionary. If you withdraw 4% of your portfolio in your first year of retirement, adjust for inflation each year, your money would almost certainly last at least 30 years. It was a game changer. Suddenly, people had a simple, easy-to-remember rule. Save enough so that 4% of your portfolio covered your annual spending. And for decades, financial planners treated this as gospel. If you had $1 million saved, you could safely take out $40,000 a year, bump it up a little each year for inflation, and you'd be golden. But here's the thing, and it's something most people never think about. Bengen's study wasn't just based on any 30-year period. It was designed to handle the worst-case scenarios, the Great Depression, the stagflation of the 1970s, the dot-com crash. And even in those brutal times, the 4% rule held up. It was conservative by design, and in most cases, retirees didn't just not run out of money. They actually ended up wealthier after 30 years. Yet despite all that, most people never asked, what if the world has changed? What if the numbers could be even better? And that brings us to the big update. The big update. The 5% rule and what it means for you. So here's where it gets really interesting. After all these years, William Bengen revisited his research. And guess what he found? With updated data accounting for modern market returns, inflation patterns, and economic trends, he believes the safe withdrawal rate could actually be closer to 5%. Yeah, you heard that right. 5%. Let that sink in for a second. That means if you've been working your tail off to save $1 million for retirement, you could actually withdraw $50,000 a year, not $40,000, and still have a high chance of never running out of money. Think about what that could mean for your life. You could retire earlier, or you might not need to save as much as you thought. That's like getting years of your life back, or thousands of dollars you don't have to scrimp and save. I mean, imagine this. Sarah, 42, working a corporate job she hates, dreams of quitting and traveling the country in an RV. Under the old 4% rule, she'd have to save $1.25 million to live on $50,000 a year. That feels overwhelming, right? But under the new 5% rule, she could hit that same goal with just $1 million. That's a huge difference. Bengen himself said it best. If you're careful about managing your investments and timing your retirement, there's no reason 5% isn't feasible, even higher. But before we start popping champagne, there's a crucial piece of the puzzle most people completely miss, and it can make or break your retirement. Here's the reality check most folks never think about. Life doesn't follow a script. The market doesn't hand out steady 8% returns every year. Inflation isn't predictable. And your spending, yeah, that's going to change too, sometimes in ways you never expected. Take John, a 49-year-old teacher who thought he had it all figured out. He was planning to retire at 60, using the 4% rule like a roadmap. But then, life happened. A market downturn hit right after he retired. His $1 million nest egg dropped to $700,000, seemingly overnight. And guess what? If he kept withdrawing $40,000 a year, that was suddenly almost 6% of his now shrinking portfolio. Scary, right? Here's the kicker. The 4% and 5% rules don't automatically adjust for real-life shocks like that. They assume you'll keep spending the same amount no matter what's happening in the market. But if you're smart and flexible, you can do much better. The biggest threat to your retirement isn't just market crashes, it's inflation. Imagine a couple of years where inflation spikes to 10%. Your withdrawals go up, but prices might not come down when inflation cools off. Those increases stick. That's why being rigid with your spending, insisting on taking the same amount every year no matter what, can backfire big time. The truth is, the real safe withdrawal rate depends on more than just market data. It depends on how flexible you are. Can you cut back in tough times? Can you adjust your lifestyle when the market dips or inflation spikes? That flexibility, that willingness to adapt, is your true superpower. And it's the key to making retirement work for you, not the other way around. Stick with me because next we're going to talk about why the old one-size-fits-all rules are holding you back, and how to design a plan that actually fits your life. Let's keep going. Breaking the myths. It's not about a fixed percentage. Let's bust a big myth right now. Retirement planning isn't about sticking to some fixed number like 4% or 5%. That's just a starting point, a guide, not a rule carved in stone. Life is unpredictable. The market will have its ups and downs. Inflation can sneak up on you. And your personal goals, they'll evolve over time. Here's what most people get wrong. They treat the 4% or 5% rule like it's gospel. They think, if I just follow this formula, I'll be safe. But let me ask you, when has life ever worked out exactly like the math on paper? Your spending won't stay the same year after year. Maybe you'll decide to travel more in your 60s, or maybe you'll face unexpected medical costs. Maybe the market will tank right after you retire, or maybe it'll boom. The point is, a rigid rule doesn't account for the real, messy, beautiful chaos of life. What really matters isn't the percentage you start with, it's how you adjust along the way. Flexibility is the real secret weapon. Being able to tighten your belt when times are tough, or loosen it when you're ahead, that's what keeps you safe. That's what keeps you in control. Action plan, how to apply this to your life. So how do you take all of this and turn it into a plan that works for you? Here's the action plan I want you to walk away with. Know your numbers. Figure out your target lifestyle in retirement. What's your enough number? How much do you really need each year to live the life you want? Use the 5% rule as a guide, not a law. If you're retiring soon or already retired, the new 5% rule can give you more breathing room. But don't get locked into it. Think of it as a baseline, not a ceiling. Build flexibility into your plan. Ask yourself, if the market drops 20%, what expenses could you cut? Could you pick up some part-time work? Could you delay that big trip? This isn't about living in fear, it's about being prepared. Stay engaged with your plan. This is a big one. Don't just set your plan and forget it. Check in regularly. Adjust as life changes. Retirement isn't a static moment, it's an evolving journey. Think beyond the math. Your happiness in retirement isn't just about numbers. It's about your purpose, your health, your relationships, and your ability to adapt. Don't lose sight of that. Golden Goals Wisdom. A new perspective on retirement. Here's the truth I wish everyone knew. Retirement isn't the end of the road. It's the start of a new chapter. It's not about a magic number or a rigid rule. It's about designing a life that works for you. The old way of thinking, working 40 years, grinding it out, and then maybe enjoying a few golden years at the end. That's broken. Retirement isn't just for the lucky few who hit some arbitrary savings goal. It's for anyone willing to learn, adapt, and think differently. At Golden Goals, we believe in living life on your terms. Whether you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, it's not too early or too late to take control of your financial future. You have the power to create a life that's rich in time, freedom, and purpose, not just money. So here's the perspective I want you to carry forward. Retirement isn't about fear. It's not about a rigid formula. It's about building a flexible, intentional plan that gives you the freedom to live life fully, starting today. If this video opened your eyes and made you rethink your retirement goals, do me a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to Golden Goals, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Let's build a community of people who are taking charge of their financial future together. I'm Mike. This is Golden Goals. And remember, it's your life, your money, and your future. Let's make it golden.